Welcome in to yet another episode of Building the Pride. I'm your host, Drew, for a little while longer at least, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Drew. How about yourself?
The stress has increased, so
Stress. All right, that's less than ideal.
Yeah, I found out today that the house that I decided to buy is $20K more than I thought it was going to be. So that's fun. So now it's just outside of my pre-qualification loan amount. So now I got to come up with
you get to go through the whole process again to get pre-qualified for a higher number, which is it's also time consuming too, right?
I did not enjoy it the first time around.
Yeah. So that's a bummer.
Also, randomly, I went down to tour the house yesterday with my realtor, and I'm on my way down, and I get a call. And she was like, "Hey, you're cool with being interviewed by the news, right?" And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, Channel 3 News is here, and they're doing a piece on the development for Portage." And she says they want to know if you want to do an interview. And I said, fine. I mean, I'm glad I brushed my teeth and
change your underwear.
yeah, all that stuff. So
the joys of adulting.
Yeah, but we did. So Channel 3 News interviewed me and then followed me around the house that I intend to buy for a little while, and it was interesting, I guess, but nice. It was interesting.
Well, hopefully the next pre-qual goes quick and easy and painless, and everything else goes smoothly. So I know house purchases can be a bit of a pain sometimes.
Thank God I'm not buying one in another state.
Yeah. It definitely it makes things interesting.
Sure. Hashtag would not want. So
yeah.
But how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Work is fun. It's interesting and busy, but it's good. It's good, and I'm pumped for. I was talking to my wife about how the NFL has perfected sports marketing. It is a 6-month season with a sport that is relevant 52 weeks out of the year.
Yep.
Right? You get your seasons all done. You're like, no more. We don't have to deal with football for another 4 months. Oh, no. We're already talking about combine. We're already talking about free agency. We're talking about cuts. We're talking about cap. And it's only March.
Right.
So I love it. This is a fun time for me, is seeing what's going on and what are the Lions going to do. Obviously, we were disappointed last year. Injury bug struck again. We had some offensive line issues, all of that kind of stuff. What's up, Detroit fan man? And so all right, what are we going to do? So it's always interesting watching what the other teams are doing as well, because not only do we want to get better, but we want to get better at a higher rate than our competitors do as well. So I know this is kind of a Christmas time for you too, isn't it?
This is, if I like football just fine. I've been watching it my entire life, right? As long as I can remember. But some of my earliest memories with my dad are watching Michigan football games. But if I could simulate the seasons and just do this, I would do it.
Yeah.
This is so much, for whatever reason, the puzzle of putting together sports rosters is about the only thing that I could see myself doing that I consider a hobby that I could also do for a career.
Yeah.
I just love it. The
games are fun to watch.
Sure.
But this stuff is interesting, right? It's complex and it's interesting. And not that, football, the game isn't complex or interesting. It's a different kind of interesting. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's a good way to put it. So you mentioned that Detroit, so you said something just a minute ago that made me think so it's interesting. If you add a player, it's fun to watch the games to see if the players making the kind of impact or not that you had hoped that they might bring to the team.
Yep.
That's what I like. It's like, oh, a 30-yard pass, that's great. Yeah, but is it the reason why the 30-yard pass worked is because that guy's great at in-breaking routes over a 15-yard,
Right.
We're like, oh, that's what we thought, and that's what the combine showed, So, yeah. So I'm really loving this whole process. This is kind of my Christmas, I suppose you would say. So,
and so we got stuff going around for Detroit. We've already made a trade. I was pretty bummed to see David Montgomery go. Right.
Yes.
But we got an interior offensive lineman, Juice Scruggs, a 4th round pick in 26. So this year's 4th round pick and next year's 7th round pick. NFL.com has graded all the different trades and moves. The Houston's got a C+ for their portion of the trade. We got an A- for our portion of the trade. What were your thoughts on that?
I hated it. I hate it deeply. I actually got a really nice compliment at work the other day because after the David Montgomery trade, I had 5 different people come up to me and be like, so what does this mean? And I was like, I don't know why everyone is coming to me asking me these questions. Like I'm no more qualified to answer them than anybody else. And one of the guys goes like, yeah, but you're the one that pays attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the one that knows, I had one of my, coworkers, they were having a conversation with other people away from me about the trade. And he walked over to me and he was like, hey, what's the name of the guy that we picked up in the trade? And I was like, Juice Scruggs. And he was like, yeah, we couldn't remember. And I was like, why did you ask me? And he's like, well, we knew,
Yep,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was kind of a huge compliment, but okay. So let's discuss it real quickly.
Yeah. So the thing that you didn't like, because there's 2 components. One is the act of making the trade, getting rid of a guy, and then the other part is the actual compensation. And so you can be like, oh, I didn't like losing the guy, but I thought the compensation was better than he was worth or whatever. Like, what was your dislike about the trade?
Well, I think that one way to look at trades is who got the better player, and Houston got the better player, right? So, what hurt me about the trade is he's my second favorite player on the team, and I thought that a lot of the issues that the Lions had last year were directly involved with his lack of use.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that now those problems are even more greatly exacerbated. And what happens if, God forbid, Jahmyr Gibbs gets hurt and misses basically any time?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Lions traded away the better player. Yeah.
Yeah. So Fanman says, if you throw the Monty trade details into the mock draft hero we like, he graded the trade as massively favors Detroit. But as we said before, this trade opens the avenue to paying Gibbs top RB money. And also, not just that, no depth, right? Like if, God forbid, something happens to Gibbs, was it Vaki? Like, is he the next on the depth list right now?
He's not even a running back. So,
I mean, he is and isn't, right? He's a special teamer primarily.
That's, in my opinion, that is the only thing that he is.
Yeah.
So when they drafted Vaki, it was like a year or so into his career, and he had played well on special teams and been a part of some of those trick punts that the Lions enjoyed running. And he was RB3 or 4 on the depth chart. It was, Gibbs and Monty, and then of course Craig Reynolds was on the team for years, and then Vaki, right? So he was RB4.
Yep.
So no one sneezed at all about this RB4 playing well on special teams.
Right.
Okay. So now he's RB2 because Craig Reynolds is a New England Patriot, and we traded David Montgomery. But Sione Vaki has come out and said, this was years ago, he'd need at least 1,000 snaps at running back before he felt like he was able to really do it. Now, I don't know if that means practice, preseason, OTAs, mini camp,
Yeah.
joint practice, or just in game. But if
Yeah.
it's in game, he's got 10.
Right. It's going to take him a while. Right.
So we're a ways off. And considering that, like, they barely used Monty for 10 rushing snaps a game last year, we have roughly 100 years to go before he's going to feel like he's ready to play running back. So to me, it's not even a consideration.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, it's a non-zero chance, which I hate that term, but it's a non-zero chance.
Yeah.
So I think that Houston got the better player. I was shocked at the draft compensation that we received. I thought a 5th-round pick straight up for David Montgomery I would have been thrilled.
Right.
With that. So we got a round better compensation plus another pick plus a player. Now, I don't know how to really effectively judge Juice Scruggs. My immediate opinion is he is a backup to all 3 interior lineman positions at best.
Yeah.
So to me, I would say that he's somewhere between Coyote Awoshika and Graham Glasgow as far as his talent level / versatility. So, okay. So like depth piece. So you got a round better compensation. That's nothing to sneeze at. A depth interior offensive lineman. All right. And you get a 7th rounder in next year's draft. The return was great.
Right.
It's also not close to what David Montgomery can do for the team if given the opportunity.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think that we were compensated more than fairly, and we're worse for it. And like the other thing that a lot of my coworkers have come up to me and said is that like the guy just felt like a Detroit Lion.
Monty?
Yeah, he just was like
100%.
this is the guy that like he embodies what it means to be a Detroit Lion, like the lunch pail, blue collar, come to work, good attitude, wants the team to win, do what's ever asked of him kind of stuff. And then the problem was they just didn't ask anything of him.
Yep.
So then trade grades mean nothing to me from any source, but like I also don't think David Montgomery is going to have any success in Houston next year because their offensive line is legit trash, and they just traded away 2 pieces from the offensive line.
They were like 31st or 32nd offensive line.
They're just horrible. Like,
yeah.
And they just traded Titus Howard to the Browns, and we got Juice Scruggs. So like, who's left? I mean, like, they're clearly going to retool that line this offseason, so maybe it could be good. I hope it is. I don't want David Montgomery to have. I want him to be successful. I just wish it was for us. So then Fan Man brings up this other point about paying Jahmyr Gibbs. Mm-hmm. So buckle up, because this is exactly what you could argue is both the best case and worst case scenario from the 2023 draft. Which is that they're sitting at 6th. Seattle takes Devin Witherspoon, a pick ahead of us, who I'm convinced that Devin Witherspoon was the pick if Seattle didn't snake him right out in front of us. Same. We don't want Jalen Carter, so we trade down with Arizona. Get the 12th pick. We get the pick that became Sam Laporta. And then we take Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. Okay. So you can't take a running back in the first round. If you go back and watch the footage, my face like literally falls. But
yeah,
what if he's great? And he's been great. I mean, I think he's the top 5 running back.
He's been a game changer.
Yeah, he's been a game changer. He's an impact player. And like last year he had, I think it was like 1,250 rushing yards, 600 receiving yards, 18 total touchdowns. Just his fingerprints were all over the offense, right?
Yep.
And clearly, I think that they see using him in a very similar quantity next year. So you could probably expect something similar from him. And that's all great. That's great. Except that you're going to pay him like he's the best running back in the NFL until Bijan Robinson gets paid. And then
We have to beat that. We have to get there before they do.
yes, agreed completely. So like and so Detroit also has a propensity of doing that, of getting to the market first with their re-signings, everybody except Aiden, basically. And but he's still going to he's going to be the top of the market for a day, a week, a month, who knows? But like then Bijan's going to use that contract to get himself paid. But we are going to pay him $20+ million, right?
Yep.
So when you take a running back, even if he's good like this, because you're paying him 12th pick money, if you had to go out and sign like Saquon Barkley on the open market, or you took a dude at 12, or like Saquon was taken at 2, like he's the better like example of this. Like the amount of money that you're saving on a running back that can produce like that is nullified. And now you're going to pay top dollar to the same guy to do the same thing that he was doing for less money. Right. And so like that, Jahmyr Gibbs is an impact player. I want him on the Lions, and the fact that he is a running back means that we are going to dedicate a bunch of money to him that could otherwise go to fixing, in my opinion, bigger problems on the roster.
Yeah.
So, but we knew this was coming for 4 years. So, and now the day is basically here. Like this time next year, he'll have his extension, or he could have his extension 2 weeks from now when the new league year starts.
Yeah.
So I don't know when they're going to sign him, but like
hopefully soon, hopefully before Bijan. Without Monty as our number 2, and whether it's Sione Vaki or I think we had somebody on a practice squad. Like, what are we going to do for our number 2? Are we now spending a later round draft choice on a running back? Or these are the free agent running backs.
Yeah.
Brees Hall, Williams, they got re-signed and tagged. But like, do we go with, we're not going to go with Kenneth Walker because he's going to want to be a number 1. Dude was literally just the Super Bowl MVP. Although I argue it probably should have been the kicker, the field goal kicker. But anyway, because like literally sets the record for the most field goals in history. He was 75% of their team's points. Like he was, now granted, Kenneth Walker got them down into those ranges, but like, I don't know. I think it would have been cool. But like, do we go with like a Brian Robinson or a Kareem Hunt or a Nick Chubb? Do we go with one of those guys that are a little bit further on in their career? They understand they're probably not going to be RB1 almost anywhere they go. Do we do something like this in the offseason, you think?
The guy that if I had to make both a prediction and a hope for who the Lions would sign would be Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson.
The dude is enormous. He's been a 1, but I think his career trajectory has proven to him that he is not a number 1. He'll have to split carries no matter where he goes. He's big. He has a little bit of juice out of the backfield, but like if you're going to clearly define these two roles between this is what Jahmyr Gibbs does and quote unquote literally everybody else, then I think that Brian Robinson does the everything else as well as you could hope for as cheap amount of money as you could possibly get. Like that's the crossroads between talent and expense that I think is the most favorable for Detroit. So like if I was Detroit, I would just be like, let's go get Brian Robinson and see if he wants to be new Knuckles or whatever.
Yeah. And so my 2 guys, like I love Najee Harris. I really like him, but he's just a lesser version of Gibbs. And so like if you're going to want maybe the 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of guy, and somebody that just does a different type of role than Gibbs, I think that Brian Robinson and Nick Chubb are probably the 2 guys on the list that are the best bang for the buck in that regard. But Chubb's had a lot of injury issues, so maybe that just means he's cheap, and because he's only going to be used 10 snaps a game, maybe we don't have to worry about like, oh, he can't stay healthy for a year. But if we can get him cheap and 10, 12 snaps a game, I think he'd probably be a pretty big fit too. But those were my two guys from a what is your role compared to what is Gibbs' role. And we don't want just like, worse Gibbs backing up Gibbs, right? We want a different thing. We want thunder along with lightning, that kind of deal.
Yeah, and like fan man over here in the comment section says like he thought we'd fully commit to like using a draft pick to running back too, and I just don't want to spend another draft pick on a fucking running back because what if he's good? Like if he's good, great, you're gonna have to pay him, and
if he's so good, sick. The question is he good enough to replace Gibbs after Gibbs' extension? And if he's not, and he's good, we can trade him for value.
Maybe. I mean, like, I guess David Montgomery would indicate that like that's possible, but how is the draft pick, regardless of where he's selected, going to have an opportunity to warrant proving he's worth trading for anything approaching what we just got for David Montgomery?
Right.
Like the issue with David Montgomery is David Montgomery has a history in the NFL of being a productive running back number one and is still in his prime. And if it wasn't for I'm just going to say it, like, I think this is Brad Holmes, like throwing a goddamn hissy fit, to be honest. I mean, like,
do you think it's Holmes or do you think it's
this whole fucking problem is Campbell and Holmes in my opinion. Like, you hire John Morton, that wasn't David Montgomery.
I think that's the problem. Was the offensive coordinator in the scheming?
Right.
I don't think it was Brad Holmes as much as
I'm going to take.
He obviously made the hire, right?
I'm going to take you through the problem, right? So, okay. You hire Joe Morton, offense doesn't work the way that they want through 6 games. Okay, here comes Dan Campbell, knight in shining armor. Okay, we're going to get back on track. We're going to do what makes the Detroit Lions efficient, or what have you. Except he doesn't do it. He uses David Montgomery less. Like the offense becomes the Dan Campbell has to share responsibility for the ineptitude of the offense last year. And whether it's going out and hiring his guy or it's the fact that he called plays 2/3 of the season, he has to directly take responsibility for the fact that the Lions rushing attack went from something like 8th in EPA per rush in 2024 to 24th in EPA per rush in 2025. Frank Ragnow retired. That did not help. I agree. I think
losing Zeitler hurt too. And
it sure did.
The two of those together was an impact modifier.
And yet somehow Jahmyr Gibbs rushed for 1,200 yards.
Right.
So like, here's the thing, like that context of Zeitler and Ragnow have left, so their offensive line is not as good. Yeah, on paper, that makes a lot of sense. And somehow, godlike Jahmyr Gibbs somehow rushed for 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns last year. How is that possible? With Frank Ragnow retiring, how is it possible that someone can be good? Well, maybe the other 3 guys on the offensive line and like Tate Ratledge weren't bad.
Yeah.
And maybe
our run block grade was 18th.
What?
Our run block grade was 18th. It was a 79.2, which isn't terrible. I mean,
no, it's not.
I mean, your elite ones like Seattle led the NFL in run. I'll zoom in here at 91.4, right? So these are the elite run blockers. But like what we've always said was, hey, you get into those deep greens, you're doing really good. Like 79.2 is good.
Right. And so like everybody that I talk to at my job, because that's about the only people I interact with anymore, is that like, the problem with the offense last year was that we were 9-8, was that the line got worse. And I was like, and yet the Detroit Lions had the 5th highest scoring offense in the NFL. Their passing game was like, I believe 6th in EPA per pass, last year, and like continued to function almost exactly the same, even with the losses of like Sam Laporta, like partway through the season, and I'm like, so like, tell me why, like the Detroit Lions with like an offense with a 1,200-yard rusher and the 8th best passing attack in the NFL was 9-8. And I can tell you what it was. It was injuries, and it was the fact that like you've put no resources into the defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was injuries. It was depth on defense. It was depth even on offense. Like we didn't have an answer at tight end losing Laporta. Like
Right.
Our backups are not good, right? The other thing is, I think what helped, and one of the reasons why I think, and we've said it a bunch of times, or at least I have, like raw stats don't tell the whole story, right? You need context and analysis. I think we beat the crap out of some pretty bad teams, and that inflated some of these numbers. When you run for 160 yards, but it's against like the 32nd ranked defense, well, you're pumping up those yards, but it's against a team that you are way better than, and they're terrible anyway. So like, how much does that matter? So when you start looking at that over a course of a season, cool, we were like the 8th best passing attack, and we had a 1,200-yard rusher, but we still lost half of our games because we could beat up against the easy teams and we couldn't beat the good teams.
Right. This is becoming, to me, the roster is really close to becoming, and please do not take offense when I say this, a Matthew Stafford-esque era team on offense. Oh, there's lots of great players. Matthew Stafford's great. Oh, look, Matthew Stafford has all these stats. The team's terrible. It doesn't win. So what is the disconnect between being able to produce all of these good things? Like, and Matthew Stafford was great at like end of the fourth quarter, let's go win the game drives. Like he was excellent at those. But that thing, like the comeback kid fourth quarter drive is like the winning, like the thing about Matthew Stafford that won games.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the thing, like crunch time, we need a play. Matt would make it. Right. Yeah. He's still doing it. So the problem that I have is now you have Jared Goff, 4,500 yards, 3-to-1 touchdown ratio, 70% completion percentage. Jahmyr Gibbs, 1,250 yards, 600 yards in the air, 18 total touchdowns. You're 9-8. What's the difference?
Yep.
So, like, I don't want a fantasy football team on the actual field. So, like, to me, the getting rid of David Montgomery, to kind of bring it back to the actual discussion, was you're getting rid of the things that I think directly help you get to winning, which is that like David Montgomery is to the running game what Amon-Ra St. Brown should be to the passing game, which is like your chain moving piece that helps keep the Lions in a like acceptable down and distance so that they have opportunities to do the things that they want to do that they're good at doing. Yep. So the Lions are no good at 3rd and long and have never been good at 3rd and long in this regime because Jared Goff wants to be a pocket passer. He's not capable of getting away from pressure, throwing the ball deep, or scrambling for first downs. So you need to be able to be like efficiently chunk touchdown, yeah. And like now you have reduced the team's ability to do that because, in my opinion, like the coaching staff came in, they quit using David Montgomery in that for whatever reason, they quit doing that. In the exit interview, David Montgomery was apparently reported to saying like, I don't know why I'm here if you're not going to use me. So then Brad Holmes goes and does an interview, and he always gets really fucking childish about this kind of stuff where he's like, well, we really want guys that want to be here. You don't think David Montgomery fucking wants to be here? The thing that he's upset about is that he wasn't helping out. And like
he wants to be here, but he wants to be here and contribute.
Right. That's on you guys.
Who doesn't want to contribute at their
job is to put him in a position to contribute. And so then Demo comes out and he put something on Instagram where he was like, Tom Pelissero said something like the Lions are exploring trades of David Montgomery, and Demo
wants out, and he's like,
I don't want out. And then they trade him the next day.
Yeah.
So like anybody that says anything about how David Montgomery like wanted out, requested a trade or anything, there's been none of that reported.
Yeah.
It's been about
you and I've said for a while that Gibbs might be the best running back on the team.
Mm-hmm.
but Montgomery was the engine of
Right.
our offense, right?
Yeah.
Even if it was like 60-40 split in favor of Gibbs, that's fine. But those 40% that Demo did, like, was the engine. That was the thing that carried us and made our offensive line play just meaner and push hard. Like, it was just a different attitude when he was in there. And that was a big piece to why our run game was so good when they were both getting around 50% of the snaps. And then when it went to like 75-25, weird, it just like the wheels fell off. Now, Gibbs still got like 1,200 yards. So it's like they didn't fall off completely, but you can't go back and watch those games, even on the games where he like had good yards. Our run game was just not where it was the previous year, because I think Montgomery was the engine to our offense as a whole, not just our run game, but our offense as a whole. So it's a big hole, I think, that we have to figure out how to fill.
Yeah. So like my worry is that now there seems to be less. He won lots of games.
Not lots. We only won half of them. They weren't all him.
But like, my issue with Gibbs is not the fact that he doesn't contribute to winning. My problem with Gibbs is that like the Lions offense is not set up for him to be the main diet. Like Gibbs is like Coca-Cola. And it's like, oh, it's great. And like a little bit of it, added in with what you're otherwise doing is a real nice treat. And then when that's the only thing that you drink, your kidneys shut down and you get fat. And you can't do the other stuff that you want to do. And like that's the problem. Is not like this is the issue that I've tried to, every time that I've talked about trading Dave Montgomery, I've tried to bring up is that like the Lions are less versatile with how they can win games.
Yeah.
And like I cannot tell you how many times I almost threw up in my mouth last year when it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and they just hand the ball to Gibbs and he goes in between the tackles. And I'm like, who the fuck why is he running between the tackles?
Yeah. When was the last time that worked?
He never
on 3rd and 1.
You could find the smallest defender in the NFL and Jahmyr Gibbs is not going to make that dude go backwards.
Yeah.
And Jahmyr Gibbs does a lot of great things, but like if it's fighting for a yard, that is not who he is. And like I feel like the Lions have just forgotten about it, and now we're going to pay the dude a lot of money in order to, so he has to be able to do the stuff that he is good at, and now like, so what happens if you sign Brian Robinson and it's 3rd and 1 and you send Brian Robinson into the game and Jahmyr Gibbs is on the sideline for like a breather or whatever? Do you think that anyone on the defense is fooled about what you're fucking going to do?
Right.
Like I guess you could make the same argument with Monty, but at least with Monty, it was like, okay, like he's also the first down back, the second down back. He can be in there on any down. Now it's going to be
an entire drive, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Gibbs. Oh, with Brian Robinson in the game, I wonder if they intend on using him.
Yeah.
So like, I have some problems with the move, largely because I feel like the Lions just straight up created it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that came down to John Morton and his failure as an offensive coordinator, scheming and, production wise. I think, do you remember when they're like, what we need to do? We need to get Gibbs in the passing game more often. That's we'll have Monty back there. We'll have Gibbs. We'll have a 2-back set, but Gibbs can be in the slot and it's gonna be really dynamic. How many times did you see a 2-back set?
Almost. I mean, like I would love to go and find somewhere that like, and I think Sumer Sports does like formation tendency percentages, so I might look them up like at some point to like figure out an answer to that question. But like I also just
count it on one hand.
Yeah, but like I also just never felt like I was like, oh, they've split Gibbs out to the slot.
Yeah. Even when it was just a single back, they very rarely went 5 wide with him sliding out into a slot receiver role. We never got that, and I think it is exciting as an option. And we were all excited about, that would be great. It's going to be even more dynamic. And now it's it never happened. But B, I think that it doesn't make us any more dynamic at this point without Montgomery as that other piece to that puzzle. Who do you cover puzzle?
Right. So like, I like all the players.
So from a off-season perspective, there's been some big names that have like been like Geno Smith was just released, right?
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson did not get tagged and immediately went posts, hey, thanks, Cincinnati. I appreciate my time here. I love the town. On to something new.
Yeah.
Like,
also, go fuck yourselves.
Well, I'm not sure he said that explicitly, but
if you read between the
whole
lines,
post
it's there.
was, yeah. And so, like, he's not tagged. He's clearly going away. Max Crosby is very much on the trade block and available, even though they just re-signed him a year ago or whatever. So there's a lot of interesting things going on around the NFL. There were some big trades that happened, like DJ Moore just went to Buffalo for, I don't remember who it was for, but like I think that's going to give Josh Allen a good receiver to target. Daniel Jones got the transition tag. LA traded for, was it Humphreys? To find that.
No, it's Trent McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie. So they gave up their 9th first-round pick in their last 10 years. They re-signed Cam Curl and Higbee for whatever reason. But like, there's been some interesting moves. Pitt's got the franchise tag in Atlanta. Of the kind of the things that I kind of just rattled off, what are is it something where we're like, you know what, maybe should we go after Trey? Should we try for Max? Should we try for some of there's a couple corners I think that are going to be available. Do we try to grab, one of those guys? What are your thoughts on other offseason before free agency moves?
So the first thing that we should do is understand who the Detroit Lions are, right? So the Lions are the team that are like, oh, third, fourth wave of free agency. Now we'll get out the checkbooks, right? And occasionally, they sign a day one free agent, DJ Reed, for example, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So first of all, in that context, I don't expect them to make any big moves. So let's talk about why they won't make some of these big moves. Trey Hendrickson is probably going to cost you $25 million a year. Okay.
Probably more.
Yeah. So like, this is where all the people who want all the, the Lions to go against what they normally do. And like all the evidence has shown us over the years that they don't do this kind of stuff. They're like, well, just max restructure everybody. Okay. You want to be the New Orleans Saints? Max restructure everybody. Go ahead. Great. That's what New Orleans did, and they had a couple of years where they made the playoffs, and they got terrible. So
for a long time,
and then they finally got out of their cap hell, and now they're still bad, and they're picking 8th in the draft. And if you want to go that route, you can certainly do it. And the NFL has shown time after time after time that if you just fuck with your cap and you just max out the credit card, you're gonna eventually be bad. So
if you don't hit that home run, it's a strikeout.
Right. So everyone look at the Micah Parsons trade. So you sign Micah Parsons, you give up 2 first-round picks and a player, you sign him to the largest defensive contract in NFL history, and he looks great through 12 games. Then he gets hurt, and then lose the next 5, and they're out of the playoffs. So, and then what does he look like next year? We don't know. And you're still paying him. So let's sign 30-something-year-old Trey Hendrickson and trade for Max Crosby. Fucking do it. I mean, money means nothing. Draft picks mean nothing. Let's just fucking go. Like, all in, man. So here's the issue. In reality, if you want to sign Trey Hendrickson, you could probably find the money. Right. If you want Tyler Linderbaum, you could probably find the money, except that Tyler Linderbaum is the exact opposite of what they want out of a center. I do not understand why people think that Tyler Linderbaum would be a good fit in Detroit. You go from Frank Ragnow.
He's better than we've got. He's real good, right?
He's better than like all but 2 centers in the NFL, maybe. Creed Humphrey and then maybe somebody else. I don't know. So he maybe he's the second best center in the NFL. Great. Except that like he's 300 pounds and he's a pulling center that is good in space, and that's not how Detroit uses their centers. So I mean, like, if you want to throw the most amount of money that you can at a guy who fundamentally does something different and doesn't meet your height, weight, speed profile for what you want your offensive lineman to be, then yeah, Tyler Linderbaum is an excellent candidate for the Detroit Lions. Really, really good. Except that he doesn't do what they want, and he's small. So I mean, outside of that, yeah, I mean, like if the Detroit Lions are going to go against type and make a big free agent signing right on day one, great. Then they might as well go against type and find a center that doesn't do the way that they want to run their offense and is smaller than everybody else on their offensive line. So like, I just don't see them going against type twice to do that. Okay, so Trey Hendrickson might be a little bit different. Maybe they talk themselves into being like, you know what? We have an absolute fucking great edge rusher in Aiden Hutchinson, and we have deprived him of anybody else that can help him at all for years, right? So what if we actually got someone across from Aiden Hutchinson that could, like, I don't know, clean up the mess that he makes, or something?
So do you think that there's an opportunity for like a Joey Bosa or a Khalil Mack or a Clowney, Cam Jordan? Like, I think those are guys that might come in less expensive, but also better than, like a pretty decent dude on the other side. Like, I don't think Hendrickson is going to be too expensive.
Correct.
But like Mack is going to be half the cost, right? Bosa is going to be half the cost or less.
So I would not do Joey Bosa. And the reason why is that he fell off so hard on the second half of the season last year, and he's going to be $14 million. So the guy that I think would be excellent if Detroit wants to keep to the same defensive line philosophy that they've shown under both Aaron Glenn and Kelvin Shepard is Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney was billed as an excellent pass rusher. He has the all-time highlight against the Michigan game and in college where he knocks our running back's helmet off. And yeah, and it's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and it's really fucking cool. But like, ultimately what he is an edge-setting, run-stopping defensive end in a 4-3 or a 3-4 alignment. Like, that's who he is in the NFL. And like, I think a good way to indicate, for Lions fans to figure out who he is he's Marcus Davenport without the injuries.
But better. So, I mean, Davenport was never up to his snuff, right?
Yes. And so, like, if you want a guy that fits in the box, who might be in your price range, who does the things that you want, and is not going to fix the overall problem the defensive line has, it's Jadeveon Clowney. So, I mean, the problem I have with the Detroit Lions defensive line is that they expect Aiden Hutchinson to make all the pass rushing plays. And I mean, like, Aleem McNeil, I mean, I expect him in 2026 to be closer to what he was in 2024. And there is a little pass rush juice from him there. I expect no pass rush from Tyleik Williams for both the role that he plays and like how his body functions. And then I also, like, if you sign Jadeveon Clowney, they're going to ask him to hold the point of attack, not get to the quarterback. So, like, I do not believe that any of the guys and the philosophy behind what the Detroit Lions defensive line is being asked to do is going to fix the problem, which is that they were like they ranked 30th in the NFL last year in like time it takes to pressure the quarterback. So, like, they have the slowest pass rush in the NFL, and they have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, and
we don't have a great secondary. So if you give a quarterback time, which is what we do,
can we please just jump into a mock draft? I mean, like,
we can do a quick one.
Yeah,
I have a hard cut at
I understand.
1 o'clock though.
This won't take long. Yeah. So, like,
How many rounds?
Just do 4.
4 rounds.
We don't have a 3rd round pick.
All right.
There's not going to be an adjustment in defense because of Casey Rogers, because Kelvin Shepard is the guy in charge of the defense. So Casey Rogers would have to fundamentally change the way that Kelvin Shepard sees doing business, I think. And like Kelvin Shepard at least is going to have to sign off on it, you know.
Before we start, are we going to do any trades, and do we want to just have these
no
go
trades,
really
just
fast?
Go. Yeah, just go.
Start.
Okay, so like let's see who's on the board here.
I know you like it bigger, but
yeah, you got to see what's going on. So
yeah.
Okay, so if you want a guy that's quote unquote on the timeline, is ready to go day one, draft Akeem Mesidor. I don't give a shit that he's 25. So like that dude across from Aiden Hutchinson, I think would be nightmarish for other people to deal with, right? But not a tackle, so everybody's gonna freak the fuck out, right? So Keldrick Falk, that's bigger, better, newer Marcus Davenport. So if you want a dude that's going to do the same philosophy, it's Keldrick Falk. If you want a dude that's going to change the philosophy and like have a pass rush that I think actually affects other quarterbacks, it's Akeem Mesidor, right? Yeah. The guy that I would have loved to be on the board was Jermod McCoy, who the Bucs took at 15. And like this is the only guy that I think coming out of the class for like a secondary person that could actually fall to us would be worth it, you know? And if there is this problem with Terrion Arnold that could jeopardize his spot on the roster, and DJ Reed's quote unquote like a good number 2, like Jermod McCoy could be the guy that comes in and being like, okay, this is the guy that you play against other you know, number 1 wide receivers, and is that thing that like you're going to buy the other half second that the Lions like pass rush needs to get home, you know? So like burning which end do you want to burn the candle on, basically? So like
so if Drew was making this pick where the board falls this way, you take Mesidor.
I take Mesidor, and it's not even a consideration.
All right. From the U to the D.
That's right.
We'll roll through to pick 5-0.
Scroll just down a little bit. Okay, so I would take Keontae Scott from Miami. I would just take these 2 Miami players. So that's my new nickel. So if you don't sign Amik Robertson, great. That's your new nickel. If you do resign Amik Robertson and you want him to play outside, great. He's your new nickel. And then you have another linebacker-sized guy near the line of scrimmage that can blow shit up, you know, and like and cover tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. And I think be a guy. If you want to go, if you're not sure.
So, yeah, we've got health issues at safety, right? We had the best safety tandem in the league, and then they both got broke. Right. So, like, is this something that you would be like, yee? And of course, we won't know what the medical is, you know, but they do.
Yeah.
If the medical on who's hurt the most?
Kirby.
Kirby's hurt the most, or the expected latest recovery.
I don't think that I think that he's done.
So if that's the case, do you lean into a guy like AJ Halsey, or do you still just stick with Keontae Scott?
So I believe in building from defensive line back, right? Mm-hmm. So in this year, Brian Branch will come back at some point, right? But if you do not believe that Kirby Joseph is a part of this team's future, then AJ Halsey is closer to Branch than he is to Joseph. So what that says to me is like when Brian Branch were to come back and you drafted AJ Halsey, they play the same role in the back 7. So I would want to play Brian Branch at nickel when he's healthy.
Yeah.
So fine. Right. So like either of those 2 guys don't care because there's problems at both. And so you're getting better either way where you need to get better, right? So, like, just to answer some of Detroit Fan Man's questions from earlier in the chat, like Jadarian Price is on there on the board. He'd be an excellent David Montgomery replacement. I'm sure as fuck not using a second round pick to do it, but like that's the guy that if you want someone that's going to get close to doing David Montgomery things right off the bat, that's the dude that's going to do it. But like he's here in round 2. You're not going to get him in round 4. So like this is the problem with trading David Montgomery is that, yeah, you got picks and players back, but the picks and players that you would have to spend to get anywhere close to the amount of production that David Montgomery produced, you have to overspend.
Yeah.
So, right. So he's like 128 at the earliest. So yeah. So you're left with 128 talent.
Yeah.
And like
at the best, right?
Running back talent at 128 can still be pretty good, but it's not going to be David Montgomery. So
yeah.
I
mean, as much as I like, trying to solve the safety question, to be honest, our cornerbacks need the most help.
Yeah.
I would probably go Keontae here.
Yeah. And that's fine with me. And like that guy, the thing that I like about Keontae Scott is that he creates turnovers. And I think that the thing that takes Detroit from a team that is fighting to win the division, because it's a good division, and to make the playoffs to a Super Bowl participant is they have to have a season where they are both healthy and they create an abnormal amount of turnovers. And so I want players on the field that are going to peanut punch, they're going to break on passes and try and pick them off, that are bigger than their position really tend to demand, so that when they hit someone who's smaller than them, maybe that ball comes out. Like that's the thing that I think the Detroit Lions need to do. And like, that's why I want to increase the pass rush, because you hit quarterbacks, sometimes they're in the throwing motion and they drop that ball. And then the ball's on the ground. So.
All right. At 118.
Yeah. So this is our fourth.
Anzalone's likely not going to come back, right? Would you agree that we're probably not going to bring him back? He's going to end up in New York with Glenn.
New York, Tennessee, somewhere where someone has money. Yeah.
Yep. So is this where we fill in and kind of pull in the best linebacker to kind of fill that gap?
To me, on this board, the guy that I'm taking is Brian Parker from Duke. He's a left tackle that he played at Duke, and he's going to convert to a center in the NFL. So he has position flexibility. He's a right tackle at Duke. He's going to convert to center in the NFL. And he is the guy that I think offers you position versatility where you need it, arguably the most on the team. So he can be, if you need to have him be your third tackle, he can do that. If you want him to be your backup center, he can be that. If you want him to be your developmental center, he can be that. And maybe if you need to move Penei Sewell to left and have this guy play right, he can be that. So, like, to me, on this board, if I'm the GM, I would just take Brian Parker, and I don't even know that I'd really consider anybody else.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling down. I don't see anybody that sticks out to me either.
So, Trey Zune from Texas A&M, same thing as Brian Parker. He was a left tackle, I believe. Click on him. Yeah, and so he's converting to center, too. So, I don't know when the next pick up is. After 118, I think it's the Texans. Oh, it's at 128. So yeah, okay, let's go back up. Why don't you take your Oregon linebacker here, and we'll see if we can get Zune at 128. Yeah, okay, so there we go.
Zune?
Yeah, I would.
Do we go with a natural center?
No.
Because I think we're going to have what's-his-face switch over to center this year, right?
I don't think so. But
You don't think so?
No, I don't. But you mean Ratledge, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I do not believe that they will convert Tate Ratledge to a center. I think that would be a mistake.
Draft Chris Belly is a higher position.
He's a wide receiver. We're not doing that. This is why I hate their AI that they use. So like also, so there's a lot of B pluses on the board here. Like that's great. Get a bunch of B pluses. You know
Yeah.
why? Because when you look at the last 2 to 3 years of Brad Holmes drafting, just in rounds 2 or 3, they're almost all misses.
Yeah.
There was the 23 class that had 2 good second rounders, but like name me the last third rounder that's pulling their weight on the team. It's hard because we almost never draft someone in the third round. We
Yep.
would have 2 third round picks this fucking season if we didn't have Isaac Tesla on the team. And I like him, but 3 third rounders for your 5th pass catcher is too steep of a price.
Yeah.
You know, and like
Especially
right now,
if we didn't use him, which we didn't. Hopefully, he gets more usage this year.
the only way that he's going to get more snaps is if Khalif Raymond's not on the team.
I think he needs to be starting over him. I
Agreed.
think Raymond here, like I think he's fine as a returner,
Yes,
but I don't want him in front of Tesla
Correct.
on the field.
we are of like mind. So to answer
Yep.
Fan Man's question, starting Tate at center would be better than any rookie, though, right? I mean, first year playing center in the NFL, whether you're a rookie or a second year guy, I don't know. I mean, you're both doing it in the NFL for the first time, which is why when I was like, let's take Trey Zune, like I'm taking him to be a backup because I'm firmly invested in like going out and signing Connor McGovern or Cade Mays or Luke Fortner or somebody else in the center, the free agent center class. That has done it in the NFL before, but I don't think any of those guys outside of McGovern is going to be better than Graham Glasgow.
Glasgow is so bad though.
I know.
Are they all that bad?
It's just an unbelievably difficult position to play.
Yeah.
You know, and the problem is that any of those guys that you sign are going to have to come in and learn the language and be able to recognize the coverages and then be able to like both mentally and physically do it. So one thing that I have hope for is that Brad has shown a propensity in other draft classes to be like, we're going to sign this motherfucker in free agency, and then we're going to go out, we're going to draft his backup in the draft. You know, so like I am hoping that is what they do. If you want to sign McGovern, Cade Mays, Fortner, somebody else, like the Chargers just went out and signed Biotish yesterday. Well, Drew, how can they sign him because free agency hasn't started yet? Well, he was cut. So he had a contract in the NFL that was active, so you can go out and sign him. Why the Lions didn't do it? They're giving him $10 million a year to be their center for the next 3 years. I don't know. Sounded like a good idea. You know, so
Right.
like I'm just kind of wondering, like, okay, but like I also don't want to move Ratledge to center because he was good at guard as a rookie. Like I think that like from where he ended up after his rookie season at guard, if he takes even a modicum of a step forward, you're looking at like, okay, you're a quality guard to an above average one in year 2, and you might be real good, you know, year 3 or 4, you know, as far as like a PFF grade or whatever is concerned. So like I just don't want to stunt his growth at guard and then be like, well, he's kind of okay at center. We don't really know how this is going to go. Now we also need to replace right guard as well.
Right.
So I have a ton of issues with this offseason. So like draft Vega at 17, move Tate to center, draft a running back at round 4, anything to avoid Messidor's old ass. I don't think Messidor is a real round 1 option. I'll bet that. I will bet that Hakeem Messidor goes in the first round, and like I bet there's a pretty decent chance he's on the Lions board.
Yeah.
So, you know, but like Mike, you know me, like if you offer me the opportunity to bet against something happening or for something happening, I'm going to bet against it because there's a lot more options out there for that than there are for it happening.
Yeah.
But like if you draft Vega at 17, you're replacing Christian Mahogany. So then you still have a problem at right guard. So then, okay, so it's Taylor Decker, Vega, Tate Ratledge. So if Tate Ratledge is no better than Graham Glasgow was last season, why are you doing it? The
Right.
problem that everyone seems to have is not, oh, we want to set up the center position for years later so that it can be good again. They want the position to be better now for this upcoming season. And the only way you're never going to get that with a rookie or a second-year convert to center. So you either go out and you sign like a tier 2 or less center in free agency.
I got a bolt.
See you, buddy.
You can keep rolling though, but I got a bolt. It was good talking with you.
Then I'm gonna get out of here. All right, bud.
All right, see y'all.
And Mike left. So, like, if you want the center position to get better immediately, it's a free agent or nothing, or a trade. And if you want the offensive line to be as good as it can be in the near future, then you leave Ratledge at right guard, and you leave Christian Mahogany at left guard. And there's here, let's do this. Let's I've been messing around with different kind of scenarios for the Lions. In choose team, Detroit. Go back here, share screen. Okay, so let's see if Vega's on the board at 17. Okay, let's start the draft. Mendoza, Reese. Yeah, this all looks pretty standard. Tate. Oh, that's interesting. Ruben Bain's gone. Oh, Messidor went at 9. Look at that. That's weird. Monroe Freeling's off the board. Falk's off the board. Okay, and Vega Ione's gone. So let's restart. There goes McCoy. Okay, so we have Monroe Freeling and Ione on the board, right? So on this board, people are going to take Monroe Freeling, right? If the fans are doing the mock, they're taking Monroe Freeling because everyone is just rock hard for Monroe Freeling right now, right? Okay, but let's for science, let's take Vega Ione, right? Okay, so here we go. Can we get another tackle? There goes Blake Miller. There goes Proctor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause. Oh, shit. I didn't do it fast enough. So there goes Max Ahenachor. He's the last guy, right? So if you draft Vega, you're basically saying, I don't think that you can, the Lions would have to trade up to like 35, basically the top of the second round. So let's just try that, right? Let's see if we can see what that world looks like. Oh, start. Yep. Got to hit the start button. Otherwise, it won't start. There goes Freeling at 6. That seems like more and more realistic as we go on. Oh, Ione's gone. Okay. So now in this one, we have neither tackle that we want on the board or Ione, right? And like this feels very real to me. This feels like, yes, someone's going to want one of the top interior offensive linemen in the top half of the first round in Vega Ione. And then tackles are going to be artificially pushed up draft boards because of their positional value. So like how many times, and like, of course you only need like the actual draft to fit one of these models, right? But the closer that this goes to being a chalk draft, there goes Ione again. So this time, so this time we have Monroe Freeling on the board. Okay. So like we would just take Monroe Freeling in this situation, right? So now what we're doing though is we're ignoring defense so that we can assuage the fear that our fan base has over not having a good offensive line, even though I'm of the opinion that the offensive line last year was not the problem. So now what do we do, right? So we're looking around. So I've heard people say Malachi Lawrence might be a good guy to pick up. He had a nice combine. He has an excellent RAS score. Anthony Hill might be a Alex Anzalone replacement. Jennings Dunker, who I just do not like at all. Gabe Yakus, AJ Halsey. But like this is the problem. Like I think that like guys like a Hennichor, whereas Blake Miller are going to go before the Lions are going to be able to get them in round 2. So if you want an interior offensive lineman like Ione, who would be great, who I would love to have on the team, but then and like Christian Mahogany was a 6th round pick. It's not exactly like you're like locked into him being the starter forever. Like I just think that like the Lions have an opportunity with Mahogany to be like, he costs us nothing. He was a 6th round pick. You're not paying him anything. If he works out, it's a real bonus. All right, so let's see what we got here. So now we have Ione on the board. So let's take Ione. I'm going to put a little more time between picks back on the clock here. So let's see. Proctor's on the board. Proctor's gone. Blake Miller's on the board. He's gone. So now it's a Hennichor, right? So let's pause and let's see. Like the thing is, like I think that the Giants would be interested in Hennichor as. So we would have to trade our 2nd and 4th round picks for 50. So we get the Giants 2nd round pick and their 4th round pick, and we give them 2 2s to move up 13 spots, right? So if we accept that, right, and now we take a Hennichor, right? So now you have Taylor Decker as your. So it's Taylor Decker, Vega Ione, question mark at center, Tate Ratledge, Penei Sewell, and you have a Hennichor as your Dan Skipper this year and Taylor Decker next year, right? So I think that your line is better, right? But you still have the problem of going out and needing a center, and we can still draft one, and like we could have a decent backup center, and I think that they should do that. But like think of all the draft picks that we've spent on our offensive line in the last 5 years. It's ridiculous. So let me speed this up a little bit. Okay, so this is the pick from the Giants. I'm going to take Brian Parker to be our backup center. So here's our pick in the 4th round. I don't want to draft Nick Singleton. I'll take Jonah Coleman. Let's see. Power, vision, reliable 3rd down skill set, and the ability to be an asset in the running and passing games. Yeah, that's a fine David Montgomery replacement. Well, I mean, so if Messidor is carried by Bain, don't you think that Messidor will be productive when he's carried by Aiden Hutchinson? I mean, he's had surgery on both feet. Well, it sounds like a Detroit Lion already, man. I mean, like, okay, we'll take a tight end for the new tight end room. Of course, they took the guy that I wanted 2 picks before. I don't like Torian York. I think he's too small, and he's just like primarily a run-focused linebacker as opposed to a pass catcher or a pass defender. I wish I knew. 156, 181, 188. I'll just take the value. This is Massis for me. This is Bishop Fitzgerald for me. Max Llewellyn for me. 221. Oh, this is from Cleveland. Did we trade with Cleveland? I'll take Raritan here just because tight ends. Lions were playing three third string tight ends last year at the end of the season. So they're going to play those guys regardless. So we don't have any more picks, so we can just. All right, so the players that we picked in this mock, right? And it took us like 8 or 9 mocks to get to this point. We took Ione and Hennichor, offensive line, and Brian Parker. Offensive line fixed forever. Okay? Don't ever want to hear about it again. Jonah Coleman, not a replacement of David Montgomery, but somebody that can play where he played. Justin Jolie, Eli Raritan, those are additions to the tight end room. Special teamer, maybe linebacker depth, and Torian York. Hezekiah Mathis might be able to compete for a cornerback position. Bishops Fitzgerald's got to be able to fit somewhere in the safety room, and then just another pass rusher in Max Llewellyn for Zadarius Smith. Okay, neat. Yeah, so I mean, the Lions are going to go out and, in my opinion, not make a splash in free agency because that's been their MO for the last 5 years. And then they're going to sign enough free agents to, quote unquote, put a team on the field they feel good about. If the season were to happen before the draft, which will give them the maximum flexibility they can, so they can pick the best player when they go to the draft. And then they're going to draft those guys, and we'll see what they do. I mean, I wouldn't mind a replacement for Taylor Decker down the road. I would prefer defensive impact players because I think that's the thing that's going to take Detroit from mediocre, which is what I think they are at this moment in time, to once again competing to go to the Super Bowl. We've been told we are now a free agent destination choice. Excited to see if there's any truth to that. And I think that they have gotten free agents to come to Detroit. They're just not high-priced ones. They're guys like Grant Stewart and David Montgomery was a free agent, and like DJ Reed. Like those are the kinds of players that I think that they mean. But like if you're a free agent destination, it's because that you're good. So the Lions were not as good last year. And like if people want to be here, fine, but then the Lions still have to be willing to pay those players to be here. And so like that's the other side of this, is that they seem fine dropping tons of money on extensions for like their draft picks and almost none anywhere else, So of course they can restructure a bunch of people, right, and push the credit card and all the finances way out into the future. And add a bunch of void years on everybody and do that kind of stuff and act like the New Orleans Saints. But I don't think that they will. I mean, I think that they're going to have to restructure somebody just to become cap compliant this season, probably Goff. But, I mean, we're going to see cap space. Lions are $6.5 million over the cap, according to overthecap.com. They have the quote-unquote third worst situation in the NFL currently. The Vikings are worse at $46 million over, then the Bills $31 million over, and then the Lions and Jags are both $6 million over. They are 1, 2, 3. They are one of 6 teams that are currently still over the cap. So I don't know when the rollover is supposed to hit the cap, if it hits after the new league year happens, or what. But I mean, they should have $20 million in cap space coming from the rollover. I mean, that's going to pay for your practice squad. That's going to pay for your rookie class, and that's going to eat that up. So I mean, you're still going to need to pay for some amount of free agent signings or re-signings, and just to become cap compliant. So there's a restructure coming. There's just no way around it, I think, unless they're just willing to cut players and take the dead money hit. So, anyways, I'm glad Mike was able to come back. Today it's always good to talk to him. We are still looking to do our streamers mock, probably closer to the actual draft in April. So we're getting that scheduled now, and who's going to do what and who's going to participate. So if you enjoy that in the past, we're still planning to do it this year. What else? So starter free agency. I think that the new league year starts next week. So we should have some movement both player wise and roster wise. Yeah, see you, Detroit fan, man. And so thank you guys for watching. Always fun to talk to you guys. And stay safe, stay warm out there, okay? All right.